Coming up on Dig It.
Oh my gosh, people stress about the roast potatoes and they are kind of the crucial thing. So my top advice on potatoes is plan your whole Christmas dinner around the potatoes rather than the turkey.
Oh, Disco Steve, he just wants a curry on Christmas Eve, and we're all like, no, you cannot have a curry at Christmas time. It just does not feel right.
I know friends who go for a curry on Christmas Day.
Oh, on Christmas Day?
Yeah, then no one has to cook. Oh, actually quite inspired idea.
My secret ingredient has always been a really good dash of ketchup. Whoa.
A little bit of Marmite is a secret thing that I pop in. But then again, I feel like if my family actually watched me make it, they'd be slightly horrified. But it makes a lovely gravy.
This is great. This is so good.
All of that right after this.
So we have some very, very exciting news. We are taking Dig It to the stage.
Woohoo! Yes, we're going to be live in Sheffield at Crosswires on Sunday, the 5th of July. And if you haven't heard of Crosswires, it's basically the world's biggest podcast festival. People have called it the Edinburgh Fringe for podcasts, even the Glastonbury of podcasting.
It is a whole weekend packed with live shows from some of your favourite podcasts. They take over venues across Sheffield. There are after parties, DJ sets, outdoor bars, food stalls, and loads of free events too.
And we'll be at the Crucible, which is an iconic, intimate venue. The home of world snooker will be properly up close with all our diggers.
Now, Sheffield is right in the middle of the country and very easy to get to by train. So if you fancy making a whole weekend of it, you can. And the Peak District is right on the doorstep.
Tickets are now on general sale for everyone and selling very fast. Very flattering. We're thrilled. Whether you're a Potting Shed subscriber or not, if you want in, you can grab your seat right now.
We cannot wait to meet you in the flesh. All the details are there for you at crosswires.live. We'll see you there.
This episode of Dig It is sponsored by QVC.
I've been improving my bedtime routine lately. Lights low, limited phone time. Just trying to introduce a bit of calm before I sleep.
Limited phone time. I'm impressed already.
I know. But honestly, I found a gorgeous neon magnesium bath milk and body butter on Menopause Your Way at QVC. It helps me unwind. And then I use this retinol night moisturiser from Pericon and I am out cold in minutes.
That sounds divine. Menopause Your Way at QVC is such a brilliant hub for women who are juggling everything: work, family, caring for others, and just need somewhere that says, here's what might help you.
Exactly. It's not one size fits all. Everyone's experience of menopause is different. Whether you need a product for sleep, stress, or skin changes, QVC's Shop by Symptom tool helps you find what's right for you.
And they've got loads of expert advice too. Everything from relaxation and confidence to relationships and nutrition.
It's made such a difference.
To explore more, search menopause at qvcuk.com. And don't forget to use the code QDIG10 for £10 off your first purchase over £30.
That's QDIG10, QDIG10 for £10 off your first order over £30. For full terms, visit the QVC website. If you're watching this when it comes out, it is officially Christmas week. And if you're anything like us, there's a lot of prep going on, most of it involving food.
So we thought, why not dedicate a special episode of Dig It entirely to your questions around food and drink at this time of year?
Which is why we are absolutely delighted to be joined by our special guest today, the wonderful Martha Collison.
Martha is a best-selling food writer, broadcaster and recipe creator. Back in 2014, aged just 17, she took part in the 5th series of the Great British Bake Off and is still the youngest contestant the show has ever had. Since then, she's written 3 cookbooks, with her most recent, Pull Up a Chair, being an absolute joy. Hello, Martha.
Hello, I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
How busy is this time of year for you, by the way? And how in demand are you from your friends and loved ones? Because you're so brilliant at cooking.
Oh, that's very kind. I feel like Christmas is, for anyone who loves cooking, it's like the peak time because you have the kind of personal pressure you put on yourself to do everything that you can to make everything delicious. And everyone has the expectation that, right, you've been writing recipes for this for the last 3 months. You've got to have some good things up your sleeve.
And how do you deal with pressure and stress? Because this is what everybody suffers from, I think. It feels like if you're not a cook, there is so much to do. In which order do you do it? When do you get your provisions delivered? What do you order? How much? I mean, it's just, for my tiny non-cooking brain, it is just too much. But how are you? Are you quite chilled with it all?
I try and be as chilled as possible because Christmas is a time to relax, isn't it? So I'm quite a relaxed person. So I don't mind popping out to the supermarket and grabbing a few last minute bits and trying to weave things together. But my top tip is never tell anyone what time anything is going to be at so that no one has any expectations of when lunch is ready.
That's such a good idea. Because that's the worst. If you're hosting, everybody is just full of questions. Where's the loo roll? Where should we put the coats? Where do we park? Where should we bring this? Where's the wine? Where's the bottle opener? Where's the beer? Where's the thing? He needs a snack. It's relentless. Hosting is full on actually at Christmas time, and good luck to anyone who's doing it. I've managed to wiggle out of hosting this year. Hooray!
Come on.
So good luck to my brother Nick. He's brilliant at it.
Tell us about your Christmas day. How does it look in terms of food? What happens for you?
Oh, Christmas Day food. So I am always the first one up. And turkey is the first thing on my agenda. So I'm up, I've got my hands deep in a turkey, and the rest of my family think that looks absolutely disgusting and horrible and would never want to do that. But I love it because it's so quiet. Everyone's asleep. I'm just doing my thing with the turkey, getting it ready. And then once that's in, you feel a lot more relaxed and you can start working on the other bits. But then we do a Christmassy breakfast. I normally delegate that to somebody else because got my mind on the real deal. So my dad does a Christmas Day breakfast, and then we go out to church for a little bit, come back, and then it's like all systems go.
What time do you reckon you end up eating?
I think normally around 2, half 2.
That's not bad. Yeah, our lot, it's often like 4. Yeah. It depends if you've got kids around as well. Because if you've got kids, you're up earlier, because they're opening presents at 4:20 in the morning. And then what do you have, though, for your Christmas breakfast? You're saying your dad does that. We're obviously all out for ideas here, Martha. We're going to rinse you for as many ideas as we can
please
get.
Do.
What do you have for Christmas breakfast?
So we normally go for like a smoked salmon and scrambled eggs on like a croissant or a crumpet kind of situation. Something that's quite light and doesn't take too long to prepare, but a bit special. Don't have that every day. But I have in previous years done a panettone French toast if you've got a panettone knocking around. And that is very indulgent. Different vibe, but just as delicious.
Oh, wow.
That sounds amazing. I may have to adopt that. I'm trying to work out, how do you slice your panettone if you're going to do it as French toast?
Just nice and thick is what you want. But it doesn't really matter what shape it is. You can even cut it into little stars or do things with it. And then you dip it in this kind of egg custard, which I put a bit of orange zest and cinnamon in. And then you kind of fry it on both sides. It's nice with a bit of yoghurt.
The lodger would love that. Definitely. Right, I'm writing that one down.
If you've just found Diggits, then welcome. We have 2 brand new episodes for you every single week. The fun never stops. Hit follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. I think we've got lots of questions to put to you. Lovely diggers have been getting in touch. So let's go to the first question.
Hi, Joe. Hi, Zoe. This is Linda from Liverpool. I'm calling to ask a question about roast potatoes for the Christmas dinner. I keep hearing that you can pre-make them and freeze them. If I do that, do I need to defrost them before I warm them up again, or do you just chuck them straight in? Should I not be doing that? Should I use goose fat, olive oil, vegetable oil? Do I need to spritz them with vinegar like Jamie Oliver says? Do I put semolina on them like Nigella says? I'm lost in a world of roast potato advice, and I just don't want to let anyone down on Christmas Day. And so any simple way to fail-safe make good potatoes will be fantastic. Totally love the podcast. Thanks, girls. Keep it up.
Thank you. God, asking for all of us. That question is exactly what we all need to know. Semolina, vinegar, what do we do?
Oh my gosh, people stress about the roast potatoes, and they are kind of the crucial thing. So my top advice on potatoes is plan your whole Christmas dinner around the potatoes rather than the turkey, because the best thing about a turkey or a big piece of meat is it can rest and it can wait wait until everything else is ready. But potatoes are one of those things that you want to be eating within kind of 10 minutes after they're out the oven, or they lose their crispy deliciousness. So plan your meal around those. Once your turkey's out, then be like, right, what time do I want to eat? Potatoes, roughly an hour for those in total. So start planning your timings around the potatoes. I did a big research project on roast potatoes last year because I write a recipe column for Waitrose, and it was the best roast potatoes. So I've done many an experiment of different varieties of potatoes, all the different fats, to see what would come out best, like a mad scientist with all these potatoes with little labels of what they were cooked in. And for me, the best ones were...
This is excellent.
It's crazy, isn't it? The best ones were King Edward potatoes, and cooking them in goose fat really is the kind of the top way to do it. But olive oil came a close second. So if you're not feeling like something as heavy as goose fat, I recommend the olive oil.
And because there'll be vegetarians as well who won't want to have a turkey and also won't want to use goose fat. So olive oil is good.
Olive oil is great. And then it's all about the parboil. So parboil your potatoes. I put a bit of garlic into the water. So I put 2 cloves of garlic still in their little skins. Ooh. So you just literally chuck them in, and a few herbs and some salt so that the potatoes are kind of flavoured right from the inside out. Parboil them for 6 to 7 minutes until if you just poke them with a knife, the outside is a little bit frosty and a bit kind of coming away. Drain them and leave them just to steam for about 5 minutes so that they dry out, because the drier they are, the more fat they'll absorb. And we're going all out at Christmas. We want them to absorb as much fat as possible. Of course. So once they're dry, give them a good shake in the pan, put the lid on and shake them within an inch of their life. You can't really overdo it. And then put them into a big baking tray, into the oven, and about 35 to 40 minutes, I would say, giving them a little turn in the middle, and you get the perfect roasties.
Wonderful. So no semolina, no vinegar. We don't need to do that at all. Don't need to coat it with anything.
I don't do that. I think it kind of changes the flavour or the texture a bit too much for me, but people like it. I do a Christmassy salt because I think that adds a bit of finesse. So I tend to get like a... few so flaky sea salt, some rosemary, some thyme, and some clementine zest, and kind of chop that all together or stick that in a food processor. Then you can toss your potatoes in that, and it just makes them look a little fancy. Or if you've bought them from a shop, which, do you know what, some people might do, you can still give them a little toss in your special salt, and it feels very artisan.
Oh, I like the idea of that. That's good. So Christmas salt.
It's those extra little bits, Martha. This is why you're so good at what you do. The zest, it's that extra little magic. I'm going to throw some of these things in and really impress my family, and they're going to be like, who are you? And then I will give you the credit, Martha. I promise.
Oh, thanks.
We have an email from Bex. She says, I'm the youngest in my family, and I'm cooking Christmas lunch for the first time this year to give my mum a break. I'm doing turkey and ham, 2 different stuffings, roast potatoes, carrots, greens, and a soup starter that I'm going to make ahead. Clever. I've cooked a roast before, but I've never cooked for 7 people, so there's a bit of pressure here. What's the one clear strategy you'd give a first-time Christmas lunch cook to stop them panicking? Is making a spreadsheet sensible or completely unhinged?
I love that. I feel like a spreadsheet is not completely unhinged, but for some people that will stress them out more than it would calm them down to be looking at kind of a huge array of timings. I like to make a few notes just so that kind of if you have, especially if you've got kids, I've got an 18-month-old, so if you get called away from the kitchen for any reason, someone else can step in and see roughly what's going on. So a few notes are helpful, but I think the key thing when you're working around all of these different elements is getting the main ones done first. And the best thing about turkey and ham is they can a good rule of thumb is they can basically rest under a bit of foil for as long as they took to cook.
Wow.
So obviously turkey takes ages, hours and hours. So it will hold its heat really well if you cover it in foil. So you can cook that, you can put that in first thing in the morning, get that done, and then let that just rest whilst you crack on with everything else. And it really sets your mind at ease thinking, right, the meat is done. It just gets more juicy and more tender as it goes resting. it has its little rest.
Martha, you can imagine, because my daughter India took the photographs for your book.
She did.
And she said you were the sweetest, kindest, loveliest person to work with. And she was so impressed by watching you in action. She loved the whole experience. But she takes over. She does Christmas. It'll be no surprise. She's a food photographer, amazing food photographer, but also amazing in the kitchen too. So I literally don't really do very much. I just take instruction from India. She just tells me to kind of chop the potatoes or do whatever. And I do as I'm told. I learn. I used to say, well, we don't normally do it like that. And now I'm like, no. Whatever India says in the kitchen goes.
I love that.
So thank you. I've got to know you through India. And she couldn't speak highly enough of you.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. I loved working with India. She is such a talent and just so chilled. And we had the best 2 weeks we did a few Christmassy things. We did mulled wine and a roast dinner in the middle of, I think it was July. It was like,
yes,
everyone got their Christmassy spirit on.
How bizarre, how surreal. Yeah, you say she's chilled. She's not chilled in the kitchen. She's very directive. She's very, very on point. She's terrifying, I think I've said in the past. You've got to be, right? Do you have to be quite fierce in the kitchen?
You've got to have your head chef head on if you want things done a certain way.
Right.
Got your brigade, but it sounds like you've got a good system there. You've got a few people who are happy just to do the chopping and do the bits. I'm the same with my mum. She's very happy to be very relaxed and do the chopping. And I always say, I feel bad. I'm giving you all the boring jobs. She says, no, I love just doing the chopping. There's no pressure. No. I can chop. I can mix.
You're absolutely right. That's what it is.
I think it should be like in The Bear as well, Joe, where everyone, when India tells you what you to do, you should be like all of them in The Bear when you go, yes, chef. Yes, chef.
We do.
That is like the ultimate respect for the chef, I think. I think we all have the most respect for whoever cooks Christmas dinner, however it goes. It's like, well done for offering to do it, because it is such a big pressure.
Speaking of respecting the chef, we've got a text from Lucy who said, I'm having my very first friendmas Christmas, just me and 4 of my mates coming over to my flat for dinner. Now, one of my friends is vegan and everything feels so meat and dairy heavy, and I don't want the vegan option to feel like an afterthought. So suggestions, please, from Martha about a vegan kind of Christmas.
Oh, I love that. I feel like offering to cook Christmas dinner for anyone, let alone your friends, is such like a top friend thing to do, especially when there are dietary requirements. So hats off to this person for taking on the reins. My favourite thing with vegan centerpieces, which is a good hack for when things are busy, is that puff pastry that you buy in the supermarket is vegan. So you can do a lot of things with puff pastry that either help replicate the things you've got for non-vegan guests. So like you can make vegan pigs in blankets, but by using a little bit of pastry as a little roll across a vegan sausage. And my favourite centrepiece that I've been making this year is a kind of parsnip tart tatin. So we've got roasted parsnips and then they get tossed in maple syrup. You can use vegan butter and a bit of whole grain mustard. Then you just have to unroll your puff pastry, cut it into a circle, kind of nestle that over your parsnips and then bake that for 25 to 30 minutes. So it's quite simple, but it looks so impressive because you turn it out and it's all shiny and it smells gorgeous. And I think that's a lovely thing to give to a vegan friend so they don't feel like they just got a little bit of brown nut roast that's come out of your microwave. It looks like something really special, something for the middle of the table.
And all these recipes that Martha is sharing with us, we're going to put in our Substack. So if you are desperately trying to write these things down, don't worry, check out our Substack later in the week. We'll let you know when it's up and we'll have these recipes ready to hand, fresh from Martha. We have an email from Margaret and she says, every Christmas Eve, I have my son and his kids over. We keep it fairly simple. A light supper, presents for the grandkids, lots of excitement. The kids are always perfectly happy with sausage and chips, which has now become a bit of a tradition. Yeah, great for the kids. That's wonderful. For the adults, I buy the 3 for 2 party food from the fancy supermarkets and call it a day. It's lovely, but this year I'd quite like a bit of a Nigella moment. Something where people go, oh, wow, what is that? Are there any finger foods that are actually easy to make but look impressive enough to earn a compliment? I'm looking for something that feels a bit more special than opening the boxes.
That's a great question because we all get taken in by the big arrays in the supermarket of all the party food. But don't you often find that when you open the boxes and put them all on a plate, it's like the tiniest little morsels of food.
Yes.
So having a few substantial things is good. They can be so many. The thing that I do each year, and I love to do, is use kind of mini poppadoms as a base for a nice canapé, because it's the kind of thing you can't buy a canapé like this because they're so crispy that they need to be eaten straight away. But I do like a mini little poppadom, and then I make a quick mix of mango, prawns and sweet chili sauce. So it's lovely and sticky and sweet and spicy. And then just put a little dollop onto the top of each poppadom. They're like this little bite-sized nibble that just people always go, oh, that's fun. It's a bit different, but it's so easy. So that's one of my favourite go-to canapés. For something a bit more substantial, I feel like you just can't go wrong with cheese. We love cheese in my family. Yep. So every year there is cheese galore, but I think something like a baked camembert feels quite special. And you can do different little toppings on a baked camembert. Yes, so do a couple of baked camemberts. You could do one more classic with a bit of garlic and rosemary studded in there. You could do one with like a drizzle of hot honey or something spicy and sweet. And then I'd often do one where I roast it with figs or roast it with dates, and it just adds a bit of variation, and people go, oh, I wouldn't have thought of doing that, which I think is hopefully what Margaret is looking for.
I'm starving now, by the way.
What do you dip into your camembert?
Oh, crusty bread. If I'm feeling very organised, sometimes I make little dough balls out of like a brioche dough. But I feel like that was a pre-kids Martha, and now I've got 1.5 children, and I'm not sure I'll be making dough balls on Christmas Eve.
Oh, you had me at melted cheese.
You just can't go wrong with melted cheese.
This episode of Dig It is sponsored by EE.
Right, the Christmas countdown is officially on. The decorations are up, the lists are endless, and the WhatsApp group chats are buzzing.
I know, everyone's negotiating who's hosting, who's cooking, hopefully not me, who's sleeping in the box room. It's utter chaos.
I'm hosting, and I've got all the kids to entertain, and no doubt there will be endless FaceTimes to partners, grandparents, all going on in different rooms while I do the lunch. So having a really super fast broadband is absolutely essential.
And I might be away visiting family, so I need my dad to have a decent phone signal in the UK when I call him to catch up, because no one wants buffering mid-sentence this Christmas.
Exactly. And Christmas is about being together, but also about those quiet moments to yourself when you just want to stream a film, message friends, and get just a few minutes to decompress.
That's why it's worth checking your connection before it all kicks off. EE has full fibre, the UK's best broadband technology that can handle all of your visitors' streaming, gaming and scrolling.
And their mobile network's been rated the UK's best for 12 years straight.
So whether you're hosting or guesting, make sure you've got the UK's best mobile network and broadband technology only from EE. For more information, search EE Does More.
What do you both do on Christmas Eve? Because we have an ongoing debate about what we have on Christmas Eve, because we sometimes have friends round to have a bit of a meal. And I always do jacket potatoes, but the kids have started saying, Mum, it's a bit much. We have potatoes Christmas Eve. We have potatoes on Christmas Day. Disco Steve, he just wants a curry on Christmas Eve. And we're all like, no, you cannot have a curry at Christmas time. It just does not feel right. And I'm always intrigued to know what other people do.
I know friends who go for a curry on Christmas Day. Yeah.
Oh, on Christmas Day?
On Christmas Day. They'd like just go for a curry. And then no one has to cook. Oh, actually quite inspired idea. Yeah, Christmas Eve, it depends where we are. My family always do a ham. In fact, I did my first ham last year, and that's always a favourite on Christmas Eve, is to start digging into the ham that you've soaked in treacle or Coca-Cola or whatever you've done.
Yeah.
And my family are huge fans of pickles and the cheeses. So I quite like things like that on Christmas Eve. Occasionally we'll have a pie, but again, sometimes that can feel a bit heavy when you know you've got a big meal the next day. So I quite like picky bits, because also people arrive at different times, don't they?
Yeah.
Sometimes we go to the pub and eat in the pub on Christmas Eve.
That's a great idea.
Jo, in your family, are you all vegans, vegetarians? What's the sort of mix?
No, there's the majority of vegetarian, and then there's a couple of meat eaters, and we always have a lot of vegetarian options, but then also a selection of meat. And then, with the grandparents coming over on Christmas Day, it's very much traditional turkey or chicken. But the tradition is that Jude and Cass and India and Coco make a nut roast on Christmas Eve, and it's always such a lovely time. It's like absolute food chaos everywhere, but it's a really nice thing to watch them do, just putting together a nut roast. I love it. I love watching them. What do you do, Martha, on Christmas Eve?
I feel kind of similar. We do a few different things. So, like growing up, my parents would always throw a Christmas Eve party. And now that I am a grown-up, I really admire the fact that they would do that, because they would have kind of like 20 or 30 people round and do nibbles and canapes and drinks. And now, as a child, you just kind of absorb it and you're part of it. But they would then have to do all the clear up from the party, as well as all the Christmas Day preparations before the big day. So I hugely admire that. But now we normally do like a slightly stripped down version of that. So when all the family have arrived, if we're all together, if it's a year where we're all together, then we'll have picky bits, probably quite similar to Margaret's letter, to be fair. We'll have bits of cheese, we'll have little nibbly bits and play a few games. So it's just a good little starter for the Christmas festivities.
We have another one. We've got a text, and this is from Helen, who said, there's an ongoing debate in our house about gravy, especially turkey gravy, and I need you to weigh in, please. My gravy method has been the same for years. When the turkey is resting, I pour the juices into a pan with some chicken gravy granules, add a splash of white wine, and I let it thicken. Here's the controversial bit. My secret ingredient has always been a really good dash of ketchup.
Whoa.
Okay. It gives that slightly vinegary kick, and everyone's loved it. Last year, my husband actually saw me put the ketchup in and was genuinely horrified. He's been eating this gravy for years and praising it, but now he insists it's wrong. Obviously, I'm still doing it. So first of all, is this a weird addition? Secondly, are there any other unexpected or slightly rogue things that you put into the gravy that can actually make it better?
I love this. I feel like gravy is one of those slightly chefy secret things that you don't want to do with anyone watching, because whatever you've cooked, whether it is meaty or vegetarian, or it's always going to taste slightly different with the juices you get off, the amount of juice, all that kind of thing. And I feel like it's the chef's prerogative to have a little taste and go, oh, okay, that needs a little bit of sweetness or a little bit of sharpness. And ketchup is actually a really good ingredient because it's got that balance of sweetness, sharpness. It thickens things slightly. I've never actually put it in. I am feeling a little bit inspired. Something I do put in every Christmas is a bit of cranberry sauce. I sieve my gravy, or I have one of these special jugs that has a strainy thing on top, which is great because it sieves out any of the lumps. But I always put in a couple of spoonfuls of cranberry sauce because that adds the sweetness, and it always works well with the turkey or whatever else you're having. And sometimes a bit of chestnut puree. And then if it's not salty enough, a little bit of Marmite is a secret thing that I pop in. But then again, I feel like if my family actually watched me make it, they'd be slightly horrified. Because you have a taste, that needs a bit more salt, bit of Marmite, that needs a bit more sweetness, a bit more cranberry, or a little bit of the water from boiling carrots is also a really lovely thing to add because it's got a little bit of sweetness, it's got some of those soluble vitamins, which makes you feel virtuous. But it makes a lovely gravy.
This is great. This is so good.
I love the fact that in that family now, having given her a really hard time about putting ketchup, and she's now also going to be sneaking in a bit of Marmite. Watch their faces then. You wait for her husband at that point. What outrage is this?
It's like, hang on a second.
But great tips there. Cranberry sauce, though, that's a lovely idea because you get that sort of festive taste all the way through. Oh, Martha, you are spoiling us with these tips. We've had an email from Harvey. We are very much countryside people, so we have Christmas lunch early, usually around 1 o'clock. Rather than in the evening. My wife does an amazing Christmas lunch every year, and by the time we're settling down with the soaps around 7 o'clock, we normally just put out a casual buffet. This year, I'd really like to make more of an effort in the evening as a way of saying thank you to my partner for all the work she's put into Christmas lunch. What are some nice ways to tart up Christmas leftovers into a proper light supper that still feels easy but a bit special?
Oh, this is so sweet.
These questions are so good. Can I just say, they are so good. Great. You're asking everything I want to know. I love the Christmas supper. It's better than the Christmas lunch, I think.
And also Christmas lunch at 1, hats off to you. You're doing a great job there, getting that ready.
Oh my God, respect. Wow.
Major respect. I feel like a lot of the Christmas supper, for me, this is like a lot of cold cuts. So it's the turkey coming back out, the ham coming back out, the pigs and blankets, if there's any left, coming back out. And then it's a lot of it is how you present it, I think. So I think the way you can make your partner feel loved and celebrated for all of the hard work they put into the main deal is by making the leftovers look good, because I think a lot of food is eating with your eyes. So making big platters out of things and adding little garnishes, so fresh herbs, get yourself some figs and some dried fruits and some nuts and maybe some olives, and then you can make one of those little nice grazing boards, which is quite practical when you've got a lot of people sitting down for supper and eating the cheese. But it also kind of respects each bit of the meal. When people just get out all the Tupperwares from the fridge, it doesn't feel very celebratory, does it? So it's quite nice to tart it up. And then melted cheese, that's what I'm going to suggest again. A few more camemberts, maybe a little fondue so you could dip all the bits in. I think that works really nicely and adds a little change of flavour.
I mean, heaven. And obviously lashings of bread sauce with all of this, whether it's Christmas lunch and then the Christmas supper as well. Bread sauce at all points.
Bread sauce.
I only say this to wind up Zoe.
You guys love your bread sauce.
Oh, are you not a bread sauce, Zoe?
It's just the words bread sauce makes me feel funny. No, but I tell you what, you can't move for condiments. You cannot move for quince jellies and piccalilli. My brothers both make piccalillis. Each year they had a bit of a competition one year. Also in our family, it's been a bit of a tradition on the Ball side of the family to do pickled eggs. My granddad Fred used to make the pickled eggs, and he's no longer with us. Then my Uncle Paul would make the pickled eggs, and now my brother Nick makes them as well. We used to consume quite a lot, less so now, because after a very heavy lunch, you do get this quite a serious odour in the lounge after a while if people have eaten pickled eggs. But we do, I love all the pickles, pickled walnuts, pickled cabbage, and the cheeses, the spread. I prefer all that stuff almost to Christmas lunch. That's my favourite bit, is the cheeses and the hams and the nibbly bits. I love all that side of it.
We have another email, and this is from Pat. I'm very lucky to have a big extended family who tend to casually just drop in during the week before Christmas and even in the days after. It's really lovely, obviously, but it does mean I need to have goodies on standby. I would love some ideas for things I can make in advance and either freeze or even store in a cupboard. It can't be the fridge, by the way, because that's always absolutely rammed with the essentials. I know what you mean. Something sweet or savoury that works with a cup of tea or a glass of wine. Yeah, just a light spread that I can just whip out if somebody calls around unexpectedly. God, what do you do there? I always go for quiche, and not everybody likes quiche like I do.
Oh, I like a quiche, but that is some epic hosting, isn't it? She's just ready to go, ready to have a few things to go from the freezer.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I think for me, it's about things like sausage rolls, either vegetarian sausage rolls. I do them sometimes with like a stuffing mix inside, like sage and onion or chestnut and cranberry stuffing inside the sausage, the puff pastry, and you can store those frozen and then just bake them from frozen, which I think adds a lovely, nice smell to your home. And, you know, they're just really, it's nice knowing that they're done in the freezer and you can cut them. I often will freeze them as one big log, and then you can either slice them into little canapé sized ones, or you can do more substantial ones if people are coming over for a bit of lunch. It can be a meal in its own right with a dollop of chutney and a bit of greenery. For sweet things, I'm thinking things like tiffin. Christmas tiffin never disappoints and it lasts for ages in a tin. Or things like amaretti biscuits, which are really soft and squidgy, and again they last well in a tin, and they're kind of flour free, so they kind of tick a lot of boxes for different people.
What is tiffin?
Yeah, how do you make your tiffin? What's going into your Christmas tiffin?
What even is it?
It's a bit like Rocky Road, but without the marshmallows and with like a very thick layer of chocolate on top. But it's a fridge cake, so it's really easy to make. You just kind of go for digestive biscuits. I chuck in things like cranberries and dried apricots, and you can put raisins in, but some people feel a bit kind of, you know, there's a bit of a raisin debate that normally goes in the family. It's like, it's got raisins in it. But people tolerate cranberries better.
Yeah, tell me about it.
And then basically loads of butter and golden syrup, and then you mix that all together until it forms like a nice mix. Pack that into a tin, chill it, and then top that with melted chocolate, and it just is a really delicious, calorific but beautiful bite of Christmassy flavours. I do one sometimes that I make look like a little reindeer. You put some little pretzel ears and a few little eyes, and then it makes it, you know, child friendly as well. Just It's a good staple.
Our final question is from Emma. We're hosting a Christmas Eve this year, and I want to make a cocktail that feels festive without immediately knocking everyone sideways before dinner. Yes, Nick Ball and your Negronis and your dirty martinis. What are your go-to Christmas Eve cocktails? This is such a good question. Anything that feels special and Christmassy, and ideally something I can batch so I'm not stuck shaking cocktails all night. Not eggnog, apparently. What a hideous concept. It's a great question. I've been sending my brother Nick, we've been going back and forth with loads of different Christmas cocktails, and we've got a selection of so many now. We just want one, really, and you're so right. You want something that's festive and delicious, but doesn't give everyone a horrific hangover right before the event's even begun. What are your suggestions, Martha?
Oh, this is a great question. I love the eggnog hatred. I feel like eggs in cocktails are a bit controversial, and people maybe don't realise some of the other ones that there's a sneaky egg white in. Because my favourite cocktail ever is an amaretto sour, which is lots of lemon juice, amaretto,
I love a sour.
and then you put cherries in. It tastes a bit like a Bakewell tart, so that's my favourite. But it does have an egg white in it, and you shake it to get that lovely foam, and I feel like that freaks people out. So maybe not the right suggestion for for Helen here for this question. But for something a bit lighter that's a bit different with a slight Christmassy feel, I love a white port tonic. So instead of the usual red port, you can get this port called Chip Dry white port, which is slightly more fruity and a bit lighter. And then that with tonic and a slice of orange and a bit of rosemary. You can even do that fancy thing that I've seen on Instagram or TikTok where you freeze your glasses with a little bit of upside down rosemary in, and it looks like a little Christmas tree. Then put your port. It's a bit different to a gin and tonic, nice and simple, and people can self-serve, which I think takes the pressure off one person from standing there with the shaker all night.
I love that thing lots of people are doing is of the ice cubes with a bit of rosemary and some berries and some cranberries sort of frozen. And I keep looking going, I'm going to do those. And I just have a sneaky feeling I might not get round to it. But I think if you could adopt one or two of these things, then we're really going to impress our family and friends.
I hope so. I'm all about easy cooking because I don't think that things need to be super chefy and complicated.
Yeah.
I'm a home cook myself that's managed to accumulate a wonderful following for people who like easy, simple, achievable recipes. So hopefully there'll be a few little nuggets in there that help people out.
Yeah, this is what we like and this is what we want.
Martha, you're amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Honestly. And you've made me feel really hungry, really like I fancy a drink, and really festive, Martha.
Oh, good.
And you're so lucky to have little ones. Christmas is so wonderful when there are little ones around, and I love my grown-up kids. But you do miss the little toddlers because the magic of Christmas with the little ones around. My nephew Zach is 5, so he's the youngest in our clan at the moment, and he's very gorgeous. But yeah, enjoy it.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're going to have such a lovely Christmas.
Thank you. Hope you both have a wonderful one with your families too.
If you want more inspiration from Martha, her latest book, Pull Up a Chair, is out now wherever you get your books. It's full of effortless, unfussy recipes designed to be shared. Special shout out to Double Chocolate Marmalade Cookies. Yes, you're licking your lips now, aren't you? Yes, please.
And beautiful photographs as well, of course, shot by the delightful India Wiley Morton.
Yay!
We've popped the link to the book in the show notes. Thank you again, Martha, and we hope you have a really, really lovely break.
Happy Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Martha.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. Bye.
Merry Christmas.
Dig It is a Persophonica production.